Well, welcome back, fanboys and fangirls, to another episode of TV Talk. Sorry we're a little late this weekend, but priorities, other things happened. But we're still here. We want to talk about it.
Life.
And yeah, we have an interesting episode, I think, to talk about. Certainly one with major implications for the rest of the show. But yeah, we'll see. This is episode 4. To Catch a Predator is its title, and should I just go to a whole recap? No, I'm not going to. What were you guys' initial thoughts?
This episode was banger. That's what I texted you guys.
Yes, I would agree completely. I think this is the strongest episode of the season so far. It does the most to move the plot forward, and it was as close to an MCU movie feeling episode as we've gotten.
Yeah, I think I really appreciated that it wasn't just like here's another set piece location. The first episode we kind of bounce around. The second episode, it's this like getting them together. The third episode is like, hey, here's this really cool city, and we kind of end in this new place, and we kind of just stay here in this kind of nonchalant. Is it Latvia? Latvian city, and have some pretty important things play out. We learn a little bit more about Bucky and his past, and why he's not afraid to go toe to toe with Zemo in terms of being controlled. We see some.
Oh, that's such a good freaking
It is,
scene.
and let's just talk about that. Let's just dive right in. We get this is like our first flashback. I don't. But surely there's a flashback in
when he killed the young kid.
Oh, that's right.
Winter
Yes,
Soldier
yes.
still.
Yep. So there was that flashback, but I think this one's way more important, and more importantly, shows the range Sebastian Stan has. I think oftentimes we see him as kind of this just stoic. I mean, that's Bucky's character. Is he's very compartmentalized, and he keeps a lot of that inside. So it was great to see that like emotion really coming out there.
Yeah, I just like that we kind of we're filling in some of those gaps of what he was doing while he was in Wakanda. Because we had an idea, but now to actually get to see some of that is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really, really well performed by him. But kind of backtracking real quick, I got to disagree with Tyler. I did not think this was a classic MCU episode. It was so much darker.
Well, yeah, but
used to.
It's the closest we've gotten to the Winter Soldier. Like,
yeah,
it does feel very Winter Soldier.
But I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I saw some.
But yeah,
I saw some discourse online talking about the pacing of this episode, and they felt like it was pretty slow. And I just don't. Maybe it's because I'm a characters first guy, and I liked the fact that this was not super action packed, but the action we got was pretty good.
Yeah, I think people are just also very used to stuff like the Winter Soldier or Infinity War, where you have 2 to 2.5 hours to tell a story, but put lots of heart-beating moments in there that make you go, "Oh wow, that was so awesome." Where the show goes, we're gonna take a break, we're gonna slow down, and we're gonna show you how these characters are actually feeling about the situation, not just dealing with the situation. Which is so nice. To like see Sebastian Stan's performance when he realizes, oh yeah, I can probably go out into the real world again now. I don't have to be afraid of Zemo. You get stuff like that, but then you can also get the moments where they're talking to Zemo in the apartment, and he's just kind of comparing all of the very powerful figures throughout history and what their abilities or their following has, what their followings what their implications on the world have done with that power.
We also get a lot more of John Walker this episode. He's kind of been in and out, and he's pretty much there for the entire episode. Not always step in step with Sam and Bucky, but often, they have this tension work relationship thing going on.
Love-hate work relationships.
Yeah. And I thought that was played out.
I feel like it's a lot of hate.
Pretty well.
Yeah, mostly hate. But...
I think my one complaint there was the trope of I'm gonna go talk to a person and it's like I can't wait any longer and I'm gonna bust through the door type thing. Like that was I love the fact that that's Sam. Like Sam wants to go in by himself and talk to Carly and do that. I just did, and I get where they're going with Walker's character of we have to make him look like a bad guy. We have to make him more and more unlikable. But it did feel a little tropish to me. That said, there were some good little lines there between Walker and Zemo and Bucky and Battlestar as they're kind of waiting there and getting Zemo locked up, and I thought that all worked pretty well.
Yep, and I like on the opposite side of that, I really liked the conversation that Sam had with Carly.
Yes.
I feel like Carly's motivations have kind of been like, okay, like we get it, but I feel like that conversation was explaining to the audience in layman's terms, who in that scene was Sam. He's like, I think I get what you're going for, and I think you're doing a good thing, but explain to me why you're doing it this way. And I feel like that was a really necessary scene that we've been needing, and I thought they did a really good job on that.
Yeah, it fixed my biggest complaint so far in this show is just that I didn't really like or understand the whole flag smasher thing. It just felt like a face for them to punch. And now like they're actually a part of this. Like they do have a place in this story, and that it made me really happy to finally turn the page on that and know that they have a clear motivation and a motivation that makes sense.
Read. Jumping around here, you kind of, Luke, I think you mentioned earlier, one of the downtime moments that turned into a really fun action moment was when they were kind of hanging out with Zemo in his lair,
his penthouse,
and we get the Wakandan Warriors show up ready to take Zemo back.
Dude.
Thoughts on that scene?
They have had enough.
Man, I'm just ready for more of anything Wakanda related. Like it's just so cool, and like the is it called a motif? Is that what it's called in music?
Oh, yes.
When they show up? Oh my gosh, like all the Wakandan motifs that they use, I'm just like, oh, this is so sick. I cannot wait to go back to this world. And so to bring them back in was really exciting. And their combat style is so sick, how they're using the spears and like flipping them around their necks and just so good.
We've gotten way more Wakanda in the show than I was expecting, and agreed, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and I really, really enjoyed watching the Dora Milaje just whoop them. Just whoop them.
Dude, when she takes the shield, oh man.
That was awesome.
I was like, no way.
And then kind of Walker's realization, he's like, they don't even have superpowers. Yeah. They're just really, really, really good at what they do. And it's just another quick little realization that we've been getting from Walker, where it's like he doesn't think he's good enough for this, and then the breaking point eventually. But I really like what they've done with him.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think they've done a really good job of making him not empathetic, but like I don't know, we all have those voices of self-doubt, and I feel like
He's relatable.
he's relatable in that way where,
Yeah.
self-doubt is not something that is to be shied away from, but it can be a poison. And I think for him it's a poison rather than a challenge to overcome.
Mhm.
No, Brett, it's like you talk about like villains that you can understand their motivation are your favorite
Mhm.
kind. And like his motivation is, he just wants to do the best he can, but it's led him to a dark
Yeah.
place, like Zemo has been warning us. And I think, like Luke was saying, they've just done a really good job of inching him just a little bit closer.
Yeah.
With each episode, like we may not get much of him, but in that moment you get from him, he's going to show you another reason why he thinks he needs to do what he does. And I just think they did a really good job of progressing that slowly, even only having 6 episodes. They didn't rush it. It just speaks to how well this show's been written.
Even with like he hasn't gotten a whole lot of screen time, and I feel like it hasn't felt like they've been. Oh, why is he just all of a sudden
Yeah.
changed his mind like that? Like it's been a nice gradual
Progression.
upswing,
Yeah.
or I guess
Yeah,
downswing.
and Wyatt Russell has done a lot with a little.
Yes.
He's
He
good.
is good.
He's
good.
incredible.
Yeah.
Not to jump too far ahead here, but I do hope that we don't see his death in this show and that he's brought back as a mainline villain in the MCU, because can you imagine, like, again, Wyatt Russell and US Agent, great potential there, but like imagine if we got a Michael B. Jordan Killmonger in this kind of a thing. Like he was great in a 2-hour movie as one of like 3 villains. So can you imagine what it would be like if we got a 6-episode series with him? Oh, this is where I'm glad Marvel's going this way, because I think it's a great place to create compelling characters to show off in big blockbusters later down the line.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't think they will, because I don't think he'll be painted as just a villain from certain perspectives. I think he's going to be Thunderbolt Ross's little man to go around. So
Going at his beck
he's
and
gonna be
call,
a villain to us, to the Avengers, to our heroes, but he works for the United States government, so he's not a villain.
Right.
Um,
I could see them.
Is he
actually Hydra?
are they doing a Thunderbolts movie? Is he their Rick Flag now? Is he their Thunderbolts leader?
Who knows? I mean, I think there's been rumors about people showing up in Black Widow. So I don't know if they'll kind of continue that on. I know Ross is in Black Widow movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they'll continue that storyline going forward.
Isn't that what their like Suicide Squad is called? Is like the Thunderbolts?
I'm not
something
sure.
like that. I mean, Googs.
Comment to let us know.
And then we get kind of to the final showdown. We do have some good stuff in there, with action wise, I think, between the entire squad. But Battlestar, man, he gets yeeted.
Yeah.
Ouch.
That was unfortunate, because I did like that actor too. I thought he was really good. I thought he played off Wyatt Russell really well.
Yeah.
And it kind of bums me out whenever like, oh, the sidekick died to kind of spur on the aggressive violence here going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it works great usually all the time. It's a great catalyst in a movie or a story, but it was like a positive and a negative, because I thought it was well done. But it's like, oh, I have seen that.
Yeah, I think there could be more. Earlier in this episode, there's a line where they talk about their time in Iraq or Afghanistan, and like I think that idea of show not don't tell could have made that stronger to why he had such a reaction, because I absolutely like I know people who have military backgrounds and they're very close with their units and their squad mates.
Yep.
And so I think logically it's like, oh yeah, like I get that, like he's pissed. But I do think there could have been maybe something a little more, just another little flashback or something, because we don't get a lot of Battlestar, and so like we as an audience, I think, are just kind of like, oh well, okay, sidekick's dead, all right.
Yeah.
Or I guess we never got like a he's dead line or anything. So maybe
It's comic. It's
heavily
comics,
implied.
right?
It was very implied.
They'll probably bring him back as a zombie.
He could be paralyzed. He could be in a coma.
Yeah.
U.S. agent could have just been so mad.
I don't
that
think
he
they're pulling
was like, I gotta go.
they're not pulling the war machine here, where it's like, oh, he's definitely dead. No, he just broke his back. Okay, we're good. Okay.
Don't worry, we got tech for that.
That fallen Civil War, man. Oof, that was brutal to watch.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, I thought Battlestar's character, I agree with Luke. I really enjoyed the actor's performance. Like I was like, man, that's kind of a bummer. I would have liked to seen him show up in something down the road. Even just in passing, because he was good, and hopefully this kind of slingshots that guy's career moving forward. And by the way, I was right. The Thunderbolts are a team made of reformed supervillains.
Nice. With Battlestar and U.S. Agent Walker, I could not remember his name. I could only think Wyatt Russell. I really liked the moments kind of throughout the episode of them asking each other, and I see with Sam too, where it's like, if you had the opportunity to take the serum, would you do it? And they both answer without hesitation, no, I would not do it, and yes, I would definitely do it. And I just think in those quick little moments, you learn a lot about those characters. Because like they had been talking about their past in Iraq, and he's like, yes, I mean, we could have saved our entire unit back there if we would have had those powers. And then there's Sam, who knows Bucky.
Who's actively working with Bucky.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, we have this cautionary tale here. There's another line that kind of alludes to that too with Zemo, where when Zemo's spouting off about all the bad people what they do, and they're like, oh, then there's Steve Rogers, and he's like, yeah, there's not another Steve Rogers, and it's like, yeah, that's a good reminder. Like, it's a good reminder to know that like Steve was like the purest of pure heroes. There's not going to be another guy like him. And it just makes me miss Steve Rogers.
I know, right? Oh.
Team Cap, baby. Team Cap.
Team
always.
Cap all the way.
I was not Team Cap in that movie, but I like him.
Well, at least they were technically both right.
They did that thing where it's like, like minor differences, let's punch it out. But we're,
you can't tell me, like, the thing that drove me nuts is like Steve's like, yeah, Bucky killed your parents, but Bucky, let's beat up Iron Man. Like, oh, come on, man.
Protecting his friend.
Help your boy out. Like, just let him have his feelings for a moment.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
But
they just needed to hug it out, man.
Just hug it out. I can't wait for Bucky and Sam to hug it out at the end of this show.
Oh, I don't know.
It'll be interesting. Real quick though, before we talk about future of the show, what our predictions are going to be. We did get the ultimate turn. Well, the ultimate turn of John Walker in the smashing of a super soldier with his shield.
Yo, he cut that dude's head
off. Like, for real.
Yeah.
That's...
I just want to say, I did not expect to see that much blood on that shield. That might be, like,
the darkest moment of the MCU.
Yeah, it might. Like, that was brutal, and I loved it.
Yeah.
It was so good. And like everybody just in that square in Riga is just like filming it, and they're just like, "Oh my gosh, he just murdered that man."
So that scene is so good. But all I could think about is like when he stands up and you see the blood all over the shield, and I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty good representation of where America's at right now. And it's just kind of painful to see it. I was like, oh man, that's us, and that's so bad. But yeah, no, that scene is just it is be a catalyst for a lot moving forward. I think for the MCU as a whole. That changes a lot.
When you talk about like in the MCU, talk about like how heroes are perceived. Ultron was a big turning point, and Stark, Stark weapons was a big, even before kind of the MCU started. Stark making weapons, so that's something that caused Wanda and Pietro to sign up to get experimental serum. I think this is another one of those moments where down the line we'll hear things like, I watched that video live, when I was a kid, and it convinced me that, superheroes aren't good. Like,
totally just like tarnished everything Captain America stood for.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was really well done. It was layered in the story really well. There's a line earlier from the guy he kills about how he once looked up to Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so that's like, and not, yeah, like the fact that then
he technically still is.
Yeah, exactly. He's the one who he gets smashed in the face with the shield. There's
looking up at him.
Like there's good layered storytelling in there that I was pretty impressed with. I was like, oh wow, like,
yep,
dang.
The visual part that I loved about it was I loved the comparison of just that little beatdown right there at the end of Walker railing on that dude, but you can like compare it to Steve beating up Tony in Civil War.
Yeah, one has control.
One stopped. One didn't cross the line.
Yep.
He's like, I'm gonna punch arc thing.
I'm gonna take you out of this fight, but I'm not going to kill you. And the other one leaned into and accepted that anger and hate and did what Steve wouldn't do.
I loved that, like, visual matching back to that fight. It's really good.
Yep. Good job, Wyatt Russell. Once again, like,
man, he's so good.
Good actor. People, if you're watching this and you're sending him like bad social media heat,
shame on you.
Stop it.
He
is an actor. He's doing his job.
Well.
I'll never understand that.
I don't either.
That's a conversation for another day, but I will never get that.
Yeah. Okay. 2 episodes left. What are our predictions?
Power Brokers, Mephisto, obviously.
Yeah, we do get a little bit of that in this. Just that Carly's on the run from the Power Broker now. Essentially. I mean,
the actual prediction is the Power Broker is literally just going to be some guy.
Yeah. At this point, I think that's a safe prediction. I'll stick with my last week prediction. I still think it's Sharon Carter. She's just sitting there sending messages in her like poorly lit office with millions of dollars of stolen art. She's the Power Broker. Yeah. Sure.
My prediction is that Sam will take up the shield, but it won't be the shield we're seeing currently. Ooh. It'll be a new shield for a new designed character that will not be Captain America.
It's interesting. We've seen in promos some shots of
And throwing the
him
shield in the trees.
throwing the shield in the trees when in what I assume is probably Louisiana.
Mhm.
And yeah, I don't know when that happens in this. It could be that that's just promo material created for it.
And and in the trailer, it is
It
a star shield, like a Captain
Yeah.
America shield, but I don't think it will be
They're-
in the
they're-
end. I think
they can manipulate that.
they're very good at hiding things in trailers, and I think Falcon will keep his color scheme
hmm
and get a shield and will be the new Captain America for Marvel, but he won't officially take up that name. I think he'll have some new name or something.
Is this where we're getting like, is Shuri gonna show up and who's giving him the shield? If they're not stealing it from,
I
Pepper.
think Luke's. Oh, I thought Luke was going to say what I was going to say. I was going to say Bucky. Somebody from Wakanda will give it to Bucky, and Bucky will give it to Sam.
I could see that. Is there?
I think Bucky. He said he's stealing the shield. I think he's stealing the shield,
Yeah.
and he'll use the normal one.
And we'll have like 2 Captain Americas.
We'll have 2 shields. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm on board.
I think probably my best guess is that we get I don't know. Thematically, I think it makes sense, kind of based on what the show has been saying and what people in the show have been saying, is that maybe early on in this next episode, Bucky kind of goes AWOL and gets in a one-on-one tussle with John Walker, steals the shield, while Sam is hunting down or trying to deal with Carly, and then at the end of the episode is when he gives Sam the shield type of thing, and then you have the big showdown in the final episode. I don't know, but that's kind of how I walk through things. It's like, could there be 2 shields? Sure, but I think there's been enough importance around the symbolism of Captain America, Steve Rogers' shield, that I think to allow it to go, to allow it to be tainted with blood like it has been, and not to say again, not that Steve didn't kill people with that shield, but obviously in there's storytelling here.
Yeah,
I think it's important for them, and it may be next episode, or it may be the final episode, that they get it back. My guess would be that it's next episode, but who knows?
yeah, it's
Could,
penultimate time.
Mm-hmm.
Could Isaiah Bradley have a hidden shield in his house somewhere?
Oh, we
I don't know.
haven't had Isaiah come back up, and we didn't have him come back up this episode. He was he was mentioned in the last episode. So
Mm-hmm.
Here's my honorable mention prediction. John Walker will become the Hail Hydra version of Captain America
ooh,
that they did in the comics, I think 2 years ago.
I remember all the backlash about
And
that.
he'll wear like the black and red suit, and he'll kind of just become Hydra's version of Cap, for them to fight in the future.
You think that'll be like in a future season or movie?
I think so. I think that'd be
Okay.
a good place for it. Yeah, I don't think it'll happen this season. No.
Okay, yeah, that's what
This is
like, wow, that's quick.
way down the road. This is probably 3 or 4 years from now, I assume. But I think that's a good way to keep him around.
Yeah,
I would like Wyatt Russell to stick around.
agreed.
Like Brett said earlier.
Yeah. Well, cool. Man,
We gotta have him do that, but it's a redemption arc to bring him back around. Let's take him in a circle. Let's get him back to where he was.
In the first episode.
I'd be fine with that.
Where he's a good guy.
I think there is lots of room for good redemption stories in movies, and so as long as it's not as shoddily written as Kylo Ren in Rise of Skywalker. That one didn't earn it.
I heard Ryan Johnson wrote that.
You heard wrong. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that was Chris Terrio, acclaimed writer of BVS and
Zack Snyder's
Zack Snyder's
Justice
Justice
League. Okay, well, let's get out of here. We've talked for 30
Hey,
minutes.
that really excited some people.
Thank you everyone for watching.
Buzzwords.
Trigger words, I think is what you mean. We will see you next week, and if you want, come check out our live show Monday nights on Twitch, twitch.tv/whatthefanboy, or just find the rest of our actual like podcast episodes over at whatthefanboy.com. And until next week, we'll see you.